Welcome. Here at Let's Talk Literature, we are interviewing two well-established authors about a short story that each of them have written. We will ask each a variety of questions to try and dissect their stories. We will be speaking with James Baldwin. He is the author of Sonny's Blues, and we also have on our show John Updike. He's the author of A&P. Let's start off with James. James, can you tell us a little about the characters in your short story? The main characters in the book are, of course, Sonny and his brother, who is the narrator of the story. Sonny is the kind of fella who just does not quite seem to have his life completely pulled together. The brothers lost their parents in their early adult life. Sonny's brother was away in the United States Army, and the brothers kind of seemed to just lose track of each other. Sonny found himself stuck in a bad place. He was at war with himself, music, and drugs. Wow, James, that seems like a good start to a great read. John, tell us about your main characters in A&P. Interesting title, by the way. Sammy is the main character and narrator in my story. He is a clerk at a local grocery store. The store is called A&P. Sammy tells us a story that he has made up while sort of daydreaming. It is about three younger girls that come into the grocery store while he was working. The girls walk into A&P in nothing but a swimsuit, which we later find out is against the store policy at A&P. Sammy's boss lets the girls know that it is inappropriate because their shoulders are not covered. Sammy tries to stand up for these three girls that he doesn't even know, and he ends up quitting his job. Very interesting, John. James, tell us what you find to be the most inspirational from your short story. I think that everyone will have different opinions on what they seem to be inspirational. Me, personally, find my favorite line to be when Sonny and his brother are talking about doing what they want in life, and Sonny's brother says to Sonny that people cannot always do what they want in life. And Sonny responds, I think people ought to do what they want to do. What else are they alive for? I think a lot of people would agree with you, James. John, what would you find inspirational in your short story? I think that most people would appreciate Sammy standing up for the three girls. He quit his job and he let his boss know by saying, you didn't have to embarrass them. This shows true character of a brave young man. He does not even know these girls, and by the end of the day, he had quit his job for them. Okay, these both sound like really great stories. So far, James, tell us about the story, or the theme of Sonny's Blues. The theme of Sonny's Blues is growing up. Takes place through many of Sonny's trials and tribulations. It takes the readers through many of Sonny's trials and tribulations throughout his life. The story starts out with Sonny getting caught in a drug bust. It takes the readers through flashbacks of when their parents were still alive and while Sonny's brother was away in the army. The story ends with Sonny putting quite a large impression on his brother with his life choices and sticking with his passion, which is music, to get through his not-so-great life. John, what is the theme of A&P? The theme of A&P is perceived heroism. It shows the readers that Sammy is sticking up for these three girls that he knows absolutely nothing about except for the stories that he has made up about them. John, what is the theme or the style of your story? The style of writing I use for A&P is descriptive. The reader will notice that within the first paragraph, I started the story with Sammy at the register as he watches these three girls walk in. He describes them in great detail. James, what is the style of your short story? I used a narrative style. The story is narrated by Sonny's brother, describing both of their lives through his own eyes. I also allowed the reader to pick up on this in the first paragraph. I chose to start the story with Sonny's brother, reading about Sonny getting in trouble right away. James, what do you think people will think of Sonny's Blues? I remember seeing one of my readers' reviews on Sonny's Blues. Mr. Timothy Golden compares Sonny and his brother to Adam and Eve. He does so by stating, because of the narrator's epistemological impulse to know his brother, unaccompanied by an awareness of and sensitivity to his moral obligation to Sonny. In short, because the narrator is committed to an ethics of knowing and not committed to an ethics of doing, the narrator, like Eve, falls in his quest to assimilate him into a scheme of middle-class bourgeois ineligibility. James, very good response. John, have you read any reviews on your story, A and P? I have. The first one that comes to mind is one written by M. Gilbert Porter. In his review, he summarizes his view on my story pretty well. While Sammy is describing the three girls, Porter writes, because the management is temporarily out of store, the moment is not immediately forced to its crisis. And in the interim, as the girls wander through the aisles, Sammy reveals through his descriptions of the store and its customers that implicit set of values which will ultimately set him against community mores. James, briefly describe your story for us. As I had previously stated, the story starts out by Sonny getting in trouble with the police for drugs. Sonny's brother finds out about the incident by reading about it in the paper. Sonny's brother does get to Sonny, and he brings him home. Things start off a little awkward with them. They each had many questions for each other, but they could not find the words to start a conversation. They begin by talking, and they take us through flashbacks of their younger years and of their parents. Sonny's brother tells the readers how he went away to the military, and he had Sonny move in with the narrator's girlfriend and her parents, so that they could try to help care for Sonny while he was away. Sonny has had a great love for music for his entire life, and Sonny's brother has never really been able to understand this love. Sonny has tried to make his brother understand for many years. Though, toward the end of my story, Sonny invites his brother to the club to watch him play his music live. Sonny's brother hesitantly accepts the offer and joins Sonny. It was that night that Sonny's brother had finally witnessed Sonny's passion. He knew that Sonny had found his purpose, and he had found a way to accept this for Sonny. I firmly believe that once the reader finishes the story, they will also see this. James, what are you wanting the readers to see in your story? I want them to see that even though there are bumps in the road along the way, stick with what you believe in. Others will start to believe you as well. James, you did a great job getting your message through, it seems. I have not yet read your story, but I'm going to do so over the weekend. Thank you. John, will you give us a brief summary of A and P? Of course I will. This is one of my favorite short stories that I have written. Sammy is a clerk at the A&P, which is a grocery store in his hometown. He is standing at the register waiting for customers when he sees these three younger girls walk in. He explains to the reader that they are wearing only a bathing suit. The town is 5 miles away from the beach, so it would not be uncommon to walk around in a bathing suit. Sammy describes the girls' hair in bathing suits. He tells the readers that he is basically keeping an eye on them as he walks through the aisles. The girls get the item that they needed, and they head to the checkout. Of course, they go right towards Sammy's register. The manager stops the girls in their tracks to question them. He tells them that not having their shoulders covered in the store is not allowed, per their policy. Sammy announces to his manager that he quits. He had been trying to impress the girls by standing up for them. But by the time that he got outside, the girls were long gone. Sammy was trying to be a hero to these girls and stand up for them. He had felt that his manager had embarrassed them. John, that does seem like a great heroism story. I will also be adding A and P to my reading list for this weekend. John and James, I want to thank you both for taking the time to come on our show and talk about your stories. I hope that the audience has enjoyed listening to you both as much as I have. Until next time on Let's Talk Literature.